this is the Daggs. We're not here.
I see how it is. My parents don't love me. Oh. Hello?
What happened?
I just was calling to ask, could you pick me up and take me home?
Alright,
Alright, take your time. That's fine. Bye. Alright guys, so today's video is going to be a story video. Story time video. This is a kind of a series I want to start on this channel. I want to make a series of videos where I tell some stories. Now, I'm 18. I don't have too much under my belt, but I have enough, I think, to make some interesting stories. Well, not make some interesting stories, but tell you guys some of the interesting stories and some of the things I've been through and some of the things I've done. So, with that being said, let's start out with the first story. This story is going to be the story of how I almost killed myself and my friend in an accident. Now, we're going to start out with the story. This was spring break of 20... Ooh, I can't even remember. It was probably 20... I'm not sure. I was in about 7th grade, I think, 6th or 7th grade. I can't remember. Or maybe it was 8th grade. I can't remember. I was in middle school. And we went up to Reelfoot Lake. We had some friends. I'm not going to say their names just because I don't want to reveal that, just in case something happens, you know. Actually, I will say names. I'll just change the names up. But we went up with some friends up there to go fishing, and one of the days we decided to go out to a pond that is at someone's house. So this wasn't Reelfoot Lake. This was just at a pond. And we took this gator up there. So like it was one of those gator trucks, or those outdoor. It's not a golf cart. It's like an actual kind of gator truck kind of thing. It's still one of those outdoorsy trucks. So we took one of those out there and a car, I think. So I was the one who was assigned with driving it initially. So I drove it a couple miles. At the time I was only like 14 or 15. I think I was about 14 at the time. So I was a little too young to drive it, but I was driving it, and everything went fine. It was my first time driving anything really, but I did fine, and everything was great. We got there to go fishing. We ended up not really catching much. We caught a couple little bluegill, nothing much. So we got bored of fishing there. So my friend and I decided that it was a good idea to, hey, let's get in the gator, and let's start driving it around the pond. So we were driving around the pond, and mind you, this pond is about a quarter the size of this field, so it's not big, maybe half the size of this field at the max. So when we were actually driving around the pond, we were actually driving around about, let's just say, half of the size of this field. So it's not a big pond, tiny pond. So we were driving around. I drove it around a couple times, and then we switched out. He drove it around a couple times, and one time he got really close. He almost crashed it into the water. So actually, what I ended up doing is I just got in and we backed it back up. Everything was fine. Nothing happened there. We continued on, and what I decided to do is I decided, hey, let's it rained last night and past couple days. I think it would be a good idea to maybe try to do some donuts. So this was out on a farm, so they've got like a huge field, and it had a bunch of hay on top of it and stuff. So in my little 14-year-old mind, I'm thinking, hey, let's try doing some donuts. So what we do, well, I didn't tell him this. I just straight up did it. I literally just started doing that. So and again, this is me with no driving experience. So we're going around this pond a couple times, and we start picking up speed. Like we start out going about 5-10 miles per hour, and then like by like the fifth lap I do, I'm going like 30 or like around 30 miles per hour. So then I decided to kind of go out into this field a little bit. So I go out in this field a little bit, going about 30 or 40 at this point. It's around 35, pushing 40. And I said, hey, let's try doing some donuts. So without thinking, I literally just go vroom like that, and I just turn the wheel hard, and the whole thing, I kid you not, I was on the driver's side, so it actually, which way did I turn it? No, I turned it that way then. I don't know, I can't remember. It fell on the right side, so I guess I did turn it left because it fell on the right side. So I kid you not, we were driving, and I just decided to yank the wheel to the left, and the whole thing flipped to the right, flipped on its right, and slid at least 25 feet. And thank God that we were wearing our seatbelts, and the actual Gator had this little, like, this bar system up top to protect us. Because if not, we could have been seriously injured, if not killed. Both. Right after it happened, I was suspended up, kind of, of course I had my seatbelt on, but I was just kind of sitting there, suspended up on top, dangling by the seatbelt. My friend was below me. He looked up at me like what the heck was that? Like, of course he was very shocked. I'm sitting there, scared out of my mind what I just did. I looked down. He was okay. Nothing was wrong with him. So I had a wave of relief there, but and then he gets. I say, hey, are you okay? I'm like, hey, are you okay? Let's just call him Jim. I don't know anyone named Jim, I don't think. I'll just say Jim. It's like, hey, Jim, are you okay? So he was like, yeah, I'm fine, Lucas. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but, like, we kind of looked at each other. Everything was fine. So I said, hey, get out of your seatbelt and get out of here. So he got out of the seatbelt slowly, and I'm still dangling because I sat there for about a minute and a half just dangling there. And it took him a couple minutes, but he got out, because he had to climb out the side. And then I'm sitting there still scared out of my mind. So I eventually unbuckle myself. I kind of fall to the ground at first, take a deep breath, and then I stand up and I eventually peek out and get out. It took me a couple more minutes to do that just because I was, fat kid trying to get out of an overturned vehicle. Little bit difficult there. But one of the things was there was an adult there with us, and he said that he saw the whole thing happen, and the first at first when it happened, he was like, oh dear, he was like, oh no, this is a bad thing, this isn't something that needs to be happening right now. I hope everyone's okay. Of course, that's what everyone would say. I'm not saying that's exactly what he said, but the gist. He was very shocked and worried. So after about 30 to 45 seconds, he said he saw my friend's Jim's head, let's just say, pop up out of the side of the thing like a meerkat, looking around, and that he got out. And then he said that in his mind he was thinking, oh my goodness gracious, please let Lucas be okay, because I'm their friend, and the last thing he wanted to do is have to go home to my mom and be like, yeah, Lucas is in the hospital, or Lucas died, doing this. So, but sure enough, after a while I got out, and I was so mad at myself. We had all our fishing stuff in the back of it. That wasn't really the big deal. I don't care. We lost, a couple, like $50 worth of fish. Nothing. It doesn't matter. Okay, I don't care about that. What matters is that we're safe. And my goodness gracious, that was one of the craziest experiences of my life. But I got out of there, and the story's not finished yet. There's still a good amount to the story left. But I got out of there so mad at myself. I was just furious at myself, furious. But he walked over. It took him a minute to walk over to us, and of course, now he didn't actually yell at us. He was like asking if we were okay and everything. And I ended up giving him a hug. Telling him I love him. I told my friend I love him. I was like, dang, did that just really happen? Did I just do that? Am I that stupid to do that? So after that, I was just kind of thinking, and we were just kind of trying to figure out what just happened over the next, it was about 10 minutes. We were sitting there trying to do that. And, then, my friend's dad was like, okay, well, we're going to have to call a tow truck or something. We're going to have to, call for help because it's flipped over and we have no way to get it up. So at this point in my mind, I'm like, okay, I did this. I was the reason that this thing flipped over. And if I hadn't been so stupid, then this wouldn't have happened. So in my mind, I'm like, hey, I got to fix this. I got to make this right. So I go over to the overturned thing. It had a roof on it, and of course it had those bars. I go over to it, and it took me about 30 seconds till I was successful. But I squat down like a just normal squat down, and I just start lifting up. I just start lifting up with all the might I can. Literally every single grain and fiber of my body, I was trying to lift that thing back up. At first, it took me. At first, it wasn't really working. But then I just kept on pushing harder and harder until it started lifting up. I got it up about 6 inches off the ground, and my friend was like, "Oh, he's lifting it." So, of course, this whole time they're kind of watching me. So then my friend Jim, I'll just call him again, and his dad went over and helped me lift it up, and we got it up. We got it up. We got that whole thing up. I think the only thing that was actually wrong with it was it had a bunch of mud on the side of it and dirt on the side of it. And I think I might have busted a tail light, but that's about it. So in the end of the day, things turned out very well for our safety and very well in general. I'm thankful that none of us got hurt that day. But by golly, is that an experience? Is that a story to tell? And I'm glad I was able to share with you guys. I don't think I'm missing any details. I'm not sure if I am. But honestly, that experience did traumatize me a little bit, and it's my own fault. I should have been a little bit more cautious and careful. When you're young, you try to impress your friends. Try to be cool. All that stuff. And I learned my lesson the hard way, I guess you could say. In a way, it's not the hard way because it could have gone a lot worse. I'm happy that, again, everyone is fine. I'm happy I don't have to live with the guilt of hurting my friend on my mind. I still have that thing in my mind where it's like, hey, it could have gone a lot worse, but it didn't, so thank goodness. Honestly, it did traumatize me. To this day, I'm still a little scared, honestly, to even drive. That's one of the reasons why I haven't started driving yet, is because I just don't trust myself. I'm like, no, I'm going to do something stupid, or I'm going to, get killed, or I'm going to hurt someone. So that's one of the reasons. But I think I'm mostly over that. It's been several years now, and I think I'm to the point where it's like, okay, I can start trying to do this again. Another part to the story. That was the main story, but another part of the story that was a little funny. It wasn't really funny because it was just like, okay, so he still made me drive it back. So we drove it back to this other guy's farm. And so he said, hey, go park in that garage. They had like not a little, it was actually a big garage. They're like, hey, go park in this garage just the way you found it. So the door to this garage is tiny. Like, the door to the garage, had that much space on either side of the actual vehicle getting in and out. So the way I found it was backed in there. In front of the door of the garage, there's not much space to turn around. So I tried turning it around. I ended up backing into the side of the garage and putting a huge dent into it. Oh my goodness, that was crazy. I've been so embarrassed about that. I haven't gone back to that same person's house. I've just been so embarrassed about doing that. So ashamed of myself. But it was fun. It was a fun time while we were there. But I guess the lesson here is just don't be stupid. I don't know. Just, don't try to impress your friends. Be safe. If you're going to do something that might be dangerous, either don't or take the necessary safety precautions, okay? Thankfully, we were wearing our seatbelts. I'm thankful for that because I had that habit down of wearing my seatbelt. And I really hope, I'm happy that happened now, and I hope that will never happen again. I hope I learned my lesson, and I hope this helps you learn your lesson. I hope to teach you guys something here. This video has been recording for about 15 minutes now, so I want to end this video. I don't want to have this too long of a video, but that was my first story video for today, or for this channel, I guess. I want to make this into a series. If you guys have any other things you want me to talk about, tell me down below. Actually, in the comments down below. Say, what you want me to do a story of, or what I've, like what's my first blah, 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 or what da-da-da-da-da, Ask me questions, and I'll make a video out of it, or I might do a Q&A. I don't know. I'll see. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Lucas, and I'll see you next time.